A very good morning, everyone. Welcome to StudyIQ English. Welcome to the Hindu newspaper for today. That is 9th March 2026. A very good morning. And before we see which topics are we analyzing today, UPSC relevant articles from the New Delhi edition of the Hindu. Here's a quick look at the QR code of our Telegram channel. That's a growing community of UPSC aspirants where we keep sharing important facts, questions, and other preparation material. Soon, also, many more exciting initiatives. So, from here, it can be taken. And then these are about 6 articles that you and I shall talk about. Starting from the editorial page, that's page number 6. Today's newspaper, again, quite diverse, but then the special focus will continue to be on West Asia. So we shall look at the map of West Asia once again in thorough detail. Talk about the war that is still ongoing. Also talk about the oil and energy crisis that we as a country are facing. Then, of course, we look about the tariff controversy, what's happening internally in US right now. From that, we look at Iran, a new political development, and eventually the bad impact, the nasty impact of AI and deepfakes on biodiversity and animal conservation. These are the main articles for today. And there is a quiz also about 4 or 5 very interesting questions coming from current affairs. So, let's start with the first article editorial. One nation, one election, remedy worse than disease. We are looking at GS paper 2 because the topic is polity and governance. We have seen this topic earlier as well. How the Indian government is now proposing the idea of one nation, one election. That is, Lok Sabha and state assembly elections to be held on the same date at the same time period. But then the writer of this article, Mr. M.K. Stalin, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, has criticized this idea. He says it is neither cost effective nor administratively viable. So, what exactly are the arguments that the writer has made? Let's quickly look into the article in detail, followed by a question. But then, let me before welcome all my dear students on board. So, I welcome with lots of love and blessings. Code names and then Sumedh Terukula. Wow, that's wonderful, Terukula, that you cleared that exam. And I wish you all the best for all the upcoming exams that you are writing, for all of you. And I'm always there to support you through current affairs and whichever topic you need me to be there for. Good morning, Ashish, Madhav, Yuvraj, Rishi, Krishna, Anup, Saurav, Mani, Akhtar, Shlok, Ramu, Reshma, Eric, Bhavna. Very good morning. As other students join in, let me now quickly then start with the first article for the day. Good morning, Roshan. What does this article say? GS paper 2, polity and governance. Now please focus. The Indian government is looking at a new idea. What's the idea? One nation, one election. That means let's have the Lok Sabha, the lower house of people, and the state assembly elections at the same day, at the same time. The proposal, therefore, is about reducing the total election and administrative cost, reducing disruption from the model code of conduct, and avoiding continuous campaigning by political parties. Now, the same political parties who are campaigning for Lok Sabha will also campaign for the state assembly elections, and the regional parties will also do the same. That means, round the year, multiple times, the voters like you and I are being exposed to various kinds of election propaganda. Sometimes electoral parties are also breaking down the model code of conduct that should be implemented by the Election Commission of India. That is, too much confessing, fake promises, loud music. It is disturbing to the people. Apart from that, it's also very expensive. It's a pricey exercise to undergo elections at such a large scale in India, because we are one of the largest democracies in the world, in the most populated country in the world. But the writer of this article, Mr. Stalin, says, this does not make any sense. This is not a very logical idea. Why does he say that? Because according to Mr. Stalin, let's take an example of Indonesia. Why was Indonesia in the news, Bache? Indonesia was in the news for 2 reasons. One, I have discussed with you Strait of Malacca. I told you it is a strategic choke point in South Asia located between Indonesia and Malaysia. China depends on the strait for a majority of its oil and gas and goods supply. Yes, that's when we spoke of Indonesia. We also spoke of Indonesia when we are talking about how certain products, marine products, food products from Indonesia were found to be heavily contaminated with mercury, and therefore they were rejected in the US. So, therefore, India responded by sending to Indonesia a special kind of drug. Shlok had reminded us about that drug about 10 days before. Which drug was that? The Prussian blue tablets. Prussian blue tablets that aim to control radioactivity's impact on human body. At the same time, as Vikash says, wonderful. Also, Indonesia was in the news when we say that India has been selling the BrahMos missile that was co-manufactured by India and Russia to countries like Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia very soon, and Indonesia. So very, very good there. Okay, absolutely. It also relates to the Minamata Convention. Very, very good. So that's why Indonesia was in the news. And today, Mr. Stalin is taking an example of Indonesia. What does he say? He says that in Indonesia, the same experiment was done. Election was done on the same day for multiple constituencies. This happened in 2019, and what was the result? The result was shocking. About 900 poll workers died in Indonesia. 5,000 workers fell sick because of overburden of work. 2024 election Indonesia, one nation, one election model. 100 people died. 15,000 people have fallen sick. Why? When you have too many elections in one day, administrative work becomes very high. Now, a similar complaint came from India as we were conducting the SIR, Special Intensive Revision, in about 12 states and UTs in India. At that time, we saw how, because of overload, the chief election officers, the block level officers, all of them were falling sick because there was too much work pressure on them. Similar thing is going on now in the case of Indonesia. People have fallen sick because of too much administrative overload. And in 2025, therefore, Indonesia's constitutional court has declared that national and local elections must be held separately from 2029 onwards. We are not going to have it on the same day. Mr. Stalin says, can we not learn this lesson from Indonesia? Why do we want to replicate the same model in India, therefore? Now, what is the new change that one nation, one election seems to be introducing in our country, and why is it so problematic? Because we are looking at Constitution Amendment Act 129. This is a bill. Okay, this is a bill. We are looking at Constitutional Amendment Bill 2024, that is bill number 129. 2 days before, we have seen which Amendment Act? 106th Amendment Act, when we were talking about women representation in the Lok Sabha and Assembly. Now I'm talking about 129th Amendment Bill. What are the provisions of that bill? Listen carefully. The bill is trying to create a new article in India. Very good, Vikash. This article is Article 82A. Article 82A. That means President can now set a deadline to align all the state elections with the Lok Sabha election. State assemblies' total duration can also be shortened now. Why? Because even if the 5 years tenure of a state assembly is not completed, we will have to wind it up early because we need to match the date with Lok Sabha election. And that means if a government falls early, the new government will serve only for the remaining interim period, not the full 5 years period. And election commission can also cancel, it can defer state election if simultaneous polls are not happening properly, if they are not being possible. Is this not problematic, Yuvraj, Vikash? Of course. Of course. Yes, Yuvraj, that's a very good question. A lot of people are saying we will save money, but Mr. Stalin has proven otherwise. How? Let me show it to you in 2 minutes. Mr. Stalin says it's not going to save any money. Why like that, Eric? Let's have a look. As of now, which constitution articles are involved here, bacha? Article 75. Union Council of Ministers are responsible to Lok Sabha, right? Article 164. The State Council of Ministers are responsible to the state legislature. Yes, they are responsible to state assembly. But if a government loses majority, then what happens? When a government loses majority, the house can be dissolved early. Fresh elections are conducted. The new government will get a full 5-year term to ensure continuous accountability of the executive to the legislature. Yes, but now there is a problem. What's the problem? What is the one nation, one election trying to do? The new one nation, one election means elections must happen at the same day for Lok Sabha and state assembly across India. So if a government falls before the scheduled election cycle, the system tries to avoid fresh elections immediately. Instead of that, we may continue with president rule. Yes, we may continue with president rule. Can anybody confirm? Which article of the constitution am I talking about? Ramu Vikash, AB, Krishna? Which article of the constitution am I talking about when I'm looking into president rule? We have covered this in the case of Manipur emergency. Which article of the constitution? Brilliant, Reshma. Article 356. Absolutely. Let's be very clear about the three emergencies: 352, 356 and 360. And we are here talking about the breakdown of constitutional machinery. Brilliant, Swaraj and Rishi. Article 356. Bhavna Rajneshwar Jai. Very good. Very, very good. Correct. Now, in case today, a state government falls down, but we have to have parallel elections up there, yes? So what will happen? We may continue with Article 356 and the president rule, or we may elect a government for a very short period of time as a substitute. That's an interim government. Now, if a government that comes only for a few months, why will that government even be serious? That government will only try to make people happy and do some kind of electoral jumla in the form of populism. Make people happy. Give them freebies. Give them reservation. Just create a fake message among people to get popularity. Vote bank politics will start happening because the new government is short term. We are not ready to have elections at all because we need to have elections only when Lok Sabha has election. So early dissolution becomes administratively inconvenient rather than normal democratic process. And will this not threat federalism? Of course it will. India is a quasi-federal country. We all know that. OE, one nation, one election, is a threat to federalism. Why? Because under Supreme Court verdict in the case of SR Bomai case versus Union of India, federalism is a part of basic structure of India. Yes, this is Bomai case. And what is basic structure doctrine? Keshwanand Bharti case, 1973. Yes? Now, one nation, one election will reduce the state assembly mandate just to match the national election. Example, a state election that's held in 2033 might have its term reduced by 1 year if the national elections happen in 2034. Now what happens? 2033, suppose for example, Bihar gets a new government, example. But in 2034, we are having Lok Sabha election. That means the new government in Bihar will only work for 1 year. In 1 year, what will the new government be able to do? Will that even work in a democratic manner? It will not. It will also reduce independent democratic mandate of the state. Then there is a major issue of unexpired term election. If a government collapses, the new government will only serve for the leftover period. What power will this new government have? Will it not only do short-term controversy and populism? Of course it will. Will we not start misusing presidential rule? Yes, we will. If elections are cancelled, then what will the central government do? Central government will keep on imposing Article 356 president rule for a longer period of time. That means states have no power, only center has. What kind of a democracy is that? What kind of a federalism is that? And we thought that federalism is a part of basic structure doctrine under SR Bomai case. But one nation, one election is undermining that federalism. Now president rule may become a very, very long-term thing rather than a short-term 356 article emergency provision. And then another problem, the unelected rule by governor and the union government through president will allow extreme interference in the state affairs by the central government. Will that not undermine Schedule 7 of the Constitution, the division of administrative powers into union, state, and concurrent list? The unelected government at the state level, at the union level, will continue to decide various policies for the state. Now, there is another article of the Indian Constitution that we all must talk about, and that, bacha, is Article 82. Just now, I was talking about, and Vikash was confirming, Article 82A, the new article that this new bill 129, One Nation, One Election, has introduced. Now, I'm talking about Article 85. What does that mean? It means Parliament must meet every 6 months. The Parliament must meet. It should have a session every 6 months. It's a mandate under Article 85. But the new leftover government, a caretaking government, will not do it with responsibility. What's the point of meeting every 6 months when you know that the new government is a short-term government? And the caretaking government cannot even create a proper union budget. Union budget, Article 112 to Article 117. Annual financial statement. The new government can never do that. Now comes the bigger argument that Yuvraj was talking about. What about cost and administrative efficiency? According to the writer of this article, Mr. Stalin, cost is a weak argument because election cost is not a very big cost in India. Mr. Stalin has said elections are costing about 4,500 crore rupees for national and state assembly. You know how much of GDP is that? 0.03% of GDP. That means it is not a big cost at all. Saving money for justifying one nation, one election makes no sense. In fact, if you compare this new protocol with existing protocol, what right now we are practicing is known as the policy of staggered elections. What is it known as? Staggered election. What is the staggered election? What India has right now. Staggered election. That means separate for Lok Sabha, separate for every state. This is called staggered election. This is the practice we are doing right now. Mr. Stalin says it is much better than one nation, one election. Why? Because under staggered elections, you keep taking continuous feedback from the voters. You don't force them to give vote on the same day. You keep the government accountable to the people under democracy. You reflect public opinion more frequently. Even if it is happening 3 times a year, at least you know what the voter base is thinking about. So how can we conclude this argument? The article says, one nation, one election will harm India's constitutional structure because 1. It weakens parliamentary accountability. 2. It undermines federalism. 3. It creates short-term governments. 4. It expands the possibility of government presidential rule, Article 356. Also, it disables the new government to carry out any logical reforms such as the proper budget, Article 112 to Article 117. It will also be an interference from the union government into the state government. So therefore, India must avoid repeating the Indonesia model. And how can we summarize that? Let's uphold federalism. Let's uphold democracy. Let's continue with staggered elections, what we have done since 1952. Suddenly, we don't need the one nation new election. The new bill 129 amendment bill is not needed according to Mr. Stalin. Okay. Quick question. Very good morning, Gayatri. With reference to proposed one nation, one election, consider these statements. 1. The Constitutional 129th Bill 24 proposes inserting an Article 82A to enable synchronization. What synchronization? Matching, simultaneous, of Lok Sabha and State Assembly elections. Second, the proposal allow the Election Commission of India, Articles 324, 326, to recommend deferring state elections if simultaneous elections with Lok Sabha are not proper. Feasible means practical. 3. The proposal involves amendments to Article 83 and 172 of the Indian Constitution. Which of these statements are valid? Initiated from Reshma, Vikash, Ashish, Rishi, Satya. There is a mild split here. We must invoke the Lokpal. Sumed, Madhav, Krishna, Shlok, Rajnishwar, Gayatri, Bhavna, Vaibhav, Shakti. What about my dear Eric and Akhtar? Phoenix code name, all right. Yuvraj answers, Ramu answers. Haven't seen it from AB or Akhtar or Eric. Haven't seen their answers yet. Aman answers, Anoop does. Okay. So majority says it's C, but then I can see some mild split. So let's break it down then. Very good, Sitaram and AB and Jay and Bulbul. Very good. First is correct or not? Is the first statement correct? Totally correct. Article 129 is about one nation, one election. Totally Zing and Roshan. Correct. Second is correct. Does it allow election commission to recommend cancelling the state election so that the date can be matched with Lok Sabha? Totally. That's the problem also. That's why we are complaining about presidential rule. Third one, it involves amending Article 83 and 172. Have we spoken about amending both these articles here? Have we or have we not? Are we not saying that both these articles will be amended? Of course, both these articles will stand amended, correct? They will have to be amended. Why? Because now we are saying that totally only on one date we can have parallel elections, no separate elections, even in the case a state government falls down. So therefore, in that case, what will we say? Are all the statements here correct? Totally all the statements here are correct. Making this C as the valid response. Correct. Will the duration not get impacted? As Reshma is explaining, for Lok Sabha and State Assembly, it will get impacted, right? They can't even complete full 5 years term. So, C is the right answer in that case. I hope nobody is having a confusion. A round of applause because 99% majority was valid. Well done. Quickly, the second article. Again, it's an editorial. Very well answered, sweetie. Very well answered. Code name 2028 UPSC. All right. Wonderful, Eric. Second article, bacha. Yes, very good. Shlok has already summarized the article in one word. Usually people summarize in one line. Shlok has done it in one word. Uranium. Absolutely. SEPA. Vikash, thank you for clarifying. Amendment in Article 83, 172, 327. I hope it's clear. Very good, Akhtar. Let's proceed with this article now. Which topic of UPSC syllabus? GS paper 2. Why? International relations. Why international relations? We are looking at India and Canada rebuilding of relationship. We know it was because of the Khalistani controversy that broke out, the murder of Mr. Nijjar, that India, under the previous regime of Canada, were not having a cordial relationship. Today, things are changing. Relations are much more cordial, and the new leader, Mr. Mark Carney, is way more pro-India. Another very good question could be, why is he becoming pro-India? Why is Canada suddenly becoming so soft towards India? There is a reason. I have told you that reason. You know that US and Canada that have the longest international border between them are caught up in a very strange situation. Canada has too many resources of crude oil, but Canada cannot export it to anybody because of Mr. Trump's pressure. The only country to which Canada sells its oil is US because pipelines are integrated across border. Now Canada is frustrated with that. Canada also wants some benefit and Canada wants to diversify its export. Canada finds India a very stable partner. That's the reason why they are rebuilding the relationship. So what are they planning? They are planning on two things. One, they want to sign a SEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, something similar to what India had signed with Oman recently and what India had signed with UAE back in 2022. It's a very deep integration between two countries, which not only is about giving each other subsidy, tariff reduction in goods, but also expanding bilateral service exchange, people-to-people migration, R&D, investment in AI, defense, and critical technologies. Now, they also plan to double their bilateral trade, but the biggest is uranium deal. Why? We know that India has recently signed the Shanti Bill. Why did we pass the Shanti Bill? Because now we are trying to privatize. Again, this reminds me of Eric's statement. We are trying to privatize the nuclear domain in India. We want to invite private sector and foreign companies to participate in nuclear energy production. Why? Because right now, nuclear energy contributes only to about 3 point something percent of our total energy. That's only about 8 gigawatt. But what do we want? We want to expand this 8 gigawatt to about 100 gigawatt by 2047. India wants to take a lot of benefit from nuclear energy because if we do not do that, then we cannot change towards renewable sector. Yes, What's the problem here? India has a lot of thorium reserves. Thorium comes from monazite sand in coastal states of Kerala, Andhra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu. But India does not have enough uranium. So, therefore, when it comes to uranium, that's a key raw material for nuclear energy, we are dependent on foreign countries. Which countries? Russia, Kazakhstan is the largest supplier, and Canada. So, another intention of signing this SEPA with Canada is to improve uranium supply and gas supply to India. Yes, okay. So, now let us understand what's going on, Bache. See, the Prime Minister of Canada, Mr. Mark Carney, who is a very pro-India man, he visited India on 27th February and he left on 2nd March. He met Indian Prime Minister Shri Modi. Both the countries have promised to sign a SEPA agreement. Why? To improve economic and trade relations with focus on business, trade, investment, cooperation. It's not just a diplomatic meeting. It is a very, very beneficial meeting. When two countries benefit with each other, it is a mutualistic relationship. We are trying to create a mutualistic relationship with Canada. What are the outcomes of the visit? It's right here on the screen also. The outcome is reduce trade barriers, give each other more tariff. Once you sign a SEPA agreement, then what happens? You have the legal permission under World Trade Organization. I have told you earlier also. Typically, if you follow the WTO rules, if you give a reduction of tariff to one country, you have to give it to all the countries of WTO. That's a policy called MFN, Most Favored Nation. But in case you sign a free trade agreement or a SEPA with a country, then you get an exception. Then you can specifically, selectively give extra benefits to that country and nobody has a problem with that. This is called an emergency, an exception in the MFN protocol. Today, India and Canada are trying to do exactly that. They want to increase investment, economic cooperation. They want to double the bilateral trade from 70 billion to $70 billion by 2030. So, what are the new areas of cooperation? The biggest area is nuclear energy cooperation. Example, 2.6 billion, I repeat, 2.6 billion uranium supply deal for a duration of 9 years. Purpose? To support India's nuclear power generation. Also, importing uranium from Canada. What about energy and critical minerals? Now Canada will supply oil and natural gas, uranium, critical minerals. What are critical minerals? Don't we know that? We know critical minerals. Critical minerals are a broad category of minerals that are important to be used in electronic vehicle, solar cell battery, semiconductor, wind turbine sintered magnet. But rare earth material are a very small part of that. Yes? Rare earth material are only 17. Very good. 15 lanthanides, scandium, yttrium. But what about critical minerals? There are so many critical minerals even apart from REE, such as graphite, lithium. You have cobalt, you have copper. All these are important. And China dominates the supply chain. Gallium. Very good, Vikash. You can get a question in prelims when you have to identify between REE and non-REE critical minerals. And I hope none of my students makes a mistake there. Yes? So now Canada will supply all that to us. We need that for shifting towards solar energy and green energy. Yes, India has a huge demand of critical minerals, but unfortunately, India does not have the midstream and downstream capacity. Yes, it's very expensive to excavate critical minerals, and India right now lacks the technology for doing it in an environmentally friendly way. Then also to clean them, refine them, and use them is a challenge, and therefore China completely dominates here. Very good, Satya. And that's why countries are making Pax Silica today, an alternative platform to reduce dependence on China. Yes. Now, with that in mind, if India has a huge demand, then today Canada will fulfill this demand. And both the countries will complement each other commercially, economically. What about technology? Now, there are Indian IT companies which are expanding in Canada. Example, HCL Technology. Canada has a strong artificial intelligence research background. It also has access to North American markets, and Indian companies can definitely benefit from them. What are the examples here? Canadian investors are already investing in India. Example, Fairfax. Fairfax India. It's a company that's investing in Bengaluru International Airport, Kempagoda International Airport. There is Brookfield Asset Management Company that's investing in telecom tower and renewable energy. So what are the total Canadian investment in India? More than $100 billion right now. And why is this partnership important? For three reasons. India gets access to natural gas, critical minerals and uranium. India gets Canadian market to sell its export equipment, more export diversification. India will also get access to North American market through Canada. These are the important things for India. What about the benefits for Canada? For Canada, access to Indian consumers, the topmost populated country in the world. Now they will have access to this consumer base. Investment opportunities in India, infrastructure, technology, pharmacy, rare earth materials, critical minerals, renewable energy. So, what's the big picture here? The big picture is that both the countries are using each other for market diversification. There is a strong Indian diaspora in Canada. It will strengthen cooperation in a changing world geopolitically. Now, we often talk about swing states. Swing states that are in between, that do not support China, do not support US, do not support Russia. Now, Canada is a swing state as well. Canada is tired of domination from US, completely frustrated. And Canada, just like European Union, is also looking for stable partners. Now, why do you think? Bachi, why do you think? Reshma Shlok, why do you think? India has signed the mother of all the trade agreement with European Union, MODE. Why? Because European Union is also a swing power, no? Yes? So today, whether it's Canada, whether it's Brazil, whether it's India, whether it's Australia, whether it's EU, all of them have become swing countries. Because the world is duopoly. Duopoly, because one hand you have US, one hand you have China, the third power pole is Russia. Yes? So Canada also is a swing country, and partnership with India by doubling bilateral trade to $70 billion by 2030 is a win-win situation for both, mutualistic relation. Now, my special thanks to Terukula for reminding us about active pharmaceutical ingredient from China. Special thanks to Yuvraj talking about nuclear-based material. SDG 7 told by, the code name again, I forgot the name. Okay. And then, yes, Puneet, the Jadugoda mine in Jharkhand, very good. And also, a very good point Puneet has raised. So I want to elaborate in one sentence on that. A lot of people ask, why does India need so much uranium supply from outside? Why are we buying it? Why don't we do it domestically? Because we can't. Puneet has made a wonderful statement here. Because India has uranium. We have. But the quality of the ore that we have is very poor. Even if we try to spend money and take uranium from this ore, we will get very little bit out of that. It's a very poor quality ore. So that's why we have to depend from external imports right now. Is that clear? Very good. And any other interesting point that somebody raised? Swing states, Satya gave examples. Shlok was talking about, swing states again. Remittance is a question raised by Vikash. Reshma talks about NAM. That's it. Bache, swing means somebody who is swinging constantly. Somebody who is in between. Look at India. India cannot do anything about US. India supports US because Quad. We have to be secure in Indo-Pacific. India joined Pax Silica. India became an observer in the Gaza board. Then what about China? We are so upset with China about the line of actual control. But we do support China. Bilateral trade agreement is there. We are swinging constantly. We can't do anything about Russia also. We can't make Russia angry. It's a long-term partner. We can't make Iran angry. We can't make Israel angry either. This is a perfect situation where you keep swinging from one part to another, as Reshma says, dehyphenation. Yes? Okay, wonderful. Quickly, let's have a look at the question. That was a brilliant question, Ramu. Okay, here's the map of Canada. I want you to have a look at that. Quickly, please. Not because you don't know it, but still, I want you to have a look. And what can we specially focus on this map? We can focus one thing here. We can look at the long border between Canada and US. This is the largest bilateral border between two countries. We know that already. Can we have a look at the 5 Great Lakes here? Right on the border of US-Canada. Now, here are majority of oil supply pipelines who are zigzag on this border. Can we have a look at Alaska, owned by US right here on the northwestern top of Canada? Do we specially focus on Greenland here as told by Terukula? Yes, because Greenland is an area where President Trump wants some interference right now. So we must think about the Thule base, Pituffik base, NATO, Denmark. Now, Vikash says we also can talk about the Hudson Bay. Absolutely, we should look at the Hudson Bay here. Then we must also see how Canada is surrounded by the oceans right here. But you have a look at the oceans. On the top, you can see the Arctic Ocean, Arctic Council countries. On the left, you can see the Pacific Ocean. Recently, I made a video on dark oxygen. I don't know how many students got an opportunity to have a look at that. If your time permits, you must look at that. Dark oxygen. For the first time, under the surface of Pacific Ocean, we are seeing oxygen is getting produced automatically because of a split of hydrogen molecule. This is dark oxygen because it's happening below the ocean without any photosynthesis involved. Look at the right side, Atlantic Ocean. Yes? Okay. Very good. That's it. Let's quickly see the question. With reference to recent development in India-Canada relation. Oh, there is one question I forgot to ask. See, I must do something about my memory. Short-term memory loss is happening every day. If you have suggestions, let me know. Oh, I had to ask this, I forgot. Let's finish this question. I want to ask you one thing. Okay. With reference to recent developments in India-Canada relations and global geography, consider these statements. 1. India and Canada have relaunched negotiation for a comprehensive economic partnership agreement aimed at expanding bilateral trade. Second, Canada has agreed to supply uranium to India under a long-term agreement to support India's nuclear energy sector. And 3, the longest border between US and Canada is longest international border in the world. Easy question. Which of these are valid? Answers were initiated from, I think it was Reshma. Reshma Terukula. Shlok is already giving advices to me. Reshma Terukula, Krishna, Sadhna, Sitaram, Vikash. Well done. Eric, Sam, Kabilan, Ahivilu, Yuvraj. All the statements are correct. Satya, Shinobi, Apex, Ramu. What about Akhtar? What about Zahir? What about Bulbul? Did I see my dear Saurabh's answer? AB, Jay, Swaraj. Okay then. Absolute round of applause. Very well answered as always. All these statements are correct here. Each and every statement is correct. Now, the question I wanted to ask you was that, no split. The question I wanted to ask you is that, bache, everybody is talking about India is buying uranium from Canada. India buys uranium from Russia, Kazakhstan. I want to ask you one thing. A very important question came in my mind suddenly. We all know that India has not signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Yes? Have we signed? No. We have not signed the NPT because we think it's a very discriminatory treaty, right? Okay. But then if we have not signed the NPT, then why is the nuclear supply group, why is it allowing us to purchase uranium? Yes. What's the answer? Blood flow we will see later. First you explain this to me. India has not signed NPT or CTBT. Then why is the nuclear supplier group of countries allowing us to import uranium? If we have not signed NPT, then nobody should be able to sell uranium to us. Neither can we buy nor we can sell. Then why? Why are we buying it? Yes? Okay, interesting. Very good, Eric. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Yes, Eric. Can we elaborate on that a little bit? Which agreement are you talking about? Yes, but why? Very good. A big round of applause here for Eric and Shlok specially. Why? Because although India has not signed NPT, and if we have not signed NPT or CTBT, then no country was initially allowed to sell uranium to us. We were not allowed to buy at all. But in 2008, India and US signed a very important agreement that was the Civil Nuclear Cooperation Agreement. Under that agreement, the NSG, the Nuclear Supplier Group, when was it created? Another question comes to my mind. This is the problem with teachers. They are very demanding. Another question. When was NSG created? Yes. Yes, quickly, when was NSG created? When was NSG created? Nuclear supplier group of countries that regulate nuclear proliferation. Are you sure? 1984. Can you please reconfirm? Yes, Zahir. Sitaram, can we confirm? Reshma, Bhavna, when was NSG created? So in 2008, when India signed the Civil Nuclear Cooperation with US, the NSG countries gave us a waiver. What's a waiver? Some reduction. We were allowed a special permission to buy uranium for some period of time. That's why India can now safely take uranium. That has expanded our nuclear ambitions a lot for civilian purposes, of course. Of course, for civilian purposes. But it's only because of NSG waiver that came after civil nuclear cooperation with US in 2008. Before that, we were not allowed to buy. Is that clear? Will everybody remember that? In the first place, why did they even sign NPT? Because they were worried of India's nuclear test, Operation Smiling Buddha. Non-proliferation treaty, where countries decide together that no new country now, those who have made already before NPT. Those countries that were nuclear power will continue to be. But after NPT, now no new country will allowed to be tested to test any kind of nuclear energy, even for civilian purpose. That's why India finds it discriminatory. And India never signed up for it. Okay, so we were not even allowed. But in 2008, a sudden deal happened between US and India. Under that, we have been given this emergency waiver. Now we are buying. Is that clear? Okay. Now, I still did not get a final verdict on when was the nuclear supplier group created. Some are saying 74, some are saying 84, some are saying I don't know what not. Yeah, NSG waiver was 2008. Very good, Eric. Can anybody also tell me? Yes? Yuvraj, Ramu, Reshma, Bulbul, Zahir, any comments on that, Bache? Can you please tell me one final date for NSG? Nuclear supplier group, when was it created? 19-4. What for? 7, 8, 9? 74. Swaraj says 74. So let's remember, Shakti elaborates, May 1974. So what about this answer? Everyone has given it correctly. Well done. Is it clear to everyone? Everyone is clear? 1974, let's freeze it here. 1974. NSG, Nuclear Supplier Group. Correct? Let's proceed with this article. Any confusions? Let me know. No problem. Now you have an idea. 1974. Third article. Why did US Supreme Court reject Mr. Trump's tariff policy? Every time we are talking about how US under Mr. Trump regime has created discriminatory tariffs to various countries across the world. US has indeed abused the most favored nation protocol of WTO. US has used tariff as a weapon of political war to settle its own scores among countries. Example, India and Brazil were given specially high tariff, 50% punishment, because we purchased oil from Russia. Similar was done with China. But today, after 1.5 years of struggle with tariff and too much dictatorship with regards to tariff regime, it is the Supreme Court of US which itself has called out on Mr. Trump for using discriminatory tariffs which are not allowed under American policy, because all these have been done, as Shlok says, without the approval of US Congress. US Parliament has not even allowed for these tariffs. So what's going on? Please focus. On 20th February 2026, 20 February 2026, yes, 20 February 2026, the Supreme Court of US ruled that Mr. Trump cannot impose tariff using emergency power under International Emergency Economic Power Act of US, IEEPA. The court has said that these tariffs are unconstitutional. What has Mr. Trump done? After returning to power for the second time, Mr. Trump started declaring national emergencies related to drug trafficking, related to trade imbalances, related to environmental protocols. He started using special emergency powers under IEEPA, International Emergency Economic Power Act of US. And then what he did? He imposed 25% tariff on goods from Canada and Mexico. 10% on goods coming from China, later expanded it to 143%. India, Brazil, 50-50% each. Tariff on many other countries that were highly discriminatory. What was the reason that he gave? He said China engages in fentanyl drug terror. That's why 143%. India buys oil from Russia. Therefore, India is supporting war against Ukraine, so 50% on India. Why Brazil? Because Brazil is supporting BRICS platform. Brazil is trying to do de-dollarization along with China and India, so 50% on Brazil as well. Similar was the destiny of countries like Mexico and many other countries of European Union. Too much tariff dictatorship started. But in US history, this was the first time that IEEPA was used to impose tariff. It is an emergency protocol, but it is not meant to impose tariff. Why today the Supreme Court has cancelled them? Because US Supreme Court is saying that under US Constitution, clearly tariff powers belong to the Parliament, belong to US Congress. They don't belong to the President. The key constitutional principle says that US Parliament will control tariff and taxation. Therefore, President cannot impose unlimited tariff without clear approval from the Parliament. The court in a majority voted against President Trump's tariff regime. What does this mean now? Does it mean that Mr. Trump cannot impose any more tariff? No, it does not mean like that. This rule by the Parliament does not mean that in future Mr. Trump cannot put tariff. He can, but he cannot put tariff under IEEPA. IEEPA is an emergency protocol. It cannot be used to put tariff on other countries. The President of US, Mr. Trump, can still impose tariff. He can do it, but under limited protocols such as Section 122 of the Trade Act 1974, which allows temporary tariff only up to 15% for 150 days. That's it. Second, he can impose another tariff under Section 301 of Trade Act 1974, used against unfair trade practices, against practices like dumping, used by China in the past few years. Then he can also impose tax under Section 232 of Trade Expansion Act 1962 for national security reasons, but he cannot use IEEPA for imposing tariff on other countries. Now, one good question. Do you need to remember all these? No. Do we need to remember all these 3 sections for UPSC exam? Absolutely no. You only have to know about WTO, MFN, dumping, tariff, that's it. And exceptions to that rule like free trade agreement. You don't have to remember internal rules of America. All you need to remember is that what Mr. Trump has done is not permitted under US Constitution. That's why Supreme Court has cancelled the tariffs that he has imposed, that he has put. But what about the companies and businesses that have already paid the extra tariff? What about that? Will their money be refunded? Will the money be given back? Now, many US companies are saying we already paid so much tax. Rule is coming now. So will we get our money back? Already $180 billion has been collected by Mr. Trump in the form of tariff. Companies like FedEx, they are now filing a suit against the US government. They say we want our money back. But the court has not said anything about that. The court has not promised the refunding of money. Why is this ruling so important for us? It is important because it reinforces the power of American Parliament, power of American Congress, and its authority over tariff. It creates a legal example, precedent in the US, restricting misuse of emergency laws by the president so that in future, Any president who comes, or maybe Mr. Trump comes for the third time, we don't know, he will at least not abuse tariff laws under IEEPA emergency laws. Okay. Because authority mainly lies with US Parliament, that is US Congress. Now, why will he return back the money? Satya says. Of course, he will not return the money. Will he return Venezuelan oil also? Why will he return? Okay. Question number 3. With reference to international trade agreement and tariff policies, consider these statements. 1. Under the MFN protocol, important question. Under the MFN principle, if a country lowers tariff for one trading partner, it must expand the same tariff concession to all other members of WTO without any exception. Second, tariff concession given under FTA are automatically applicable to all WTO members under MFN principle. 3. Now comes the split. I'm feeling so happy. I don't know why. Okay, 3. A country cannot impose a high tariff on import from another country if both are members of WTO. Yes, which of these statements are valid? And I'm really happy right now. I don't know. Feeling so happy after a long time. Real happiness is coming. Unconditional happiness. Answers initiated from Shlok Vikash Terukula, 2028 UPSC. Bacha, please, I would love to know your name. Reshma, Shlok, Sitaram, Madhav, Apex, Rishi, Sadhna, Ashish, Swaraj, Bulbul, Kavish, Kabilan, Sitaram, Yuvraj, Urapam, Vaibhav, Avelu, AB. Okay, Suraj. All right, Suraj. Thank you, Shlok. Munna, Taithong, Reshma. Positive, yes. This is called ego reinforcement. Heavy split. Not just call the Lokpal, make the Lokpal be here for a while. Okay. All right then, Madhav. What to do, Satya? There is a massive split in the class. I don't know, there is another ugly side of human tendency. I want to just not give the answer and keep the answer waiting till the end of the class. See, this is called negative tendencies, sadistic tendencies that the Shlok was talking about, dark psychology. Now, sadistic tendency says don't give the answer, give it in the end. But no, it is not good. I know. You can't behave like Mr. Trump and criticize him at the same time. So let's do it right now. Is the first one correct? Totally, it's not correct. Okay. Why is it not correct? Because it says, no, you can't do that. He has veto, Shlok. First statement says, MFN lowers tariff. If you lower it for one partner, then you have to lower it for all other members of WTO. This is correct. But it says there is no exception. Is there no exception here? Yes, Reshma, Taithong, no exception. Of course, there is an exception. Yes, exception is free trade agreement. Under MFN, if I reduce tariff for one country, I will reduce it for all the countries who are members of WTO, yes. But there is an exception. If I have an FTA with that country, SEPA with that country, then I can reduce. Nobody can say anything. So first is wrong. First is wrong, which means A cannot be correct. Second, tariff concession given under FTA are automatically applicable to all members of WTO? No. Absolutely no. How is it possible? If India has an FTA with New Zealand, and if India wants to give tariff concession to New Zealand, it will only give it to New Zealand, no? Because India has FTA with it. Why will India give it to all WTO members? Then what's the purpose of FTA? Is FTA a joke? So we don't have to give it to all WTO members. We will give it exclusively to those with whom we have FTA or SEPA or some kind of TEPA. Yes. Second is also wrong. Now, second is also wrong. That means BC are also incorrect. Then last one. A country cannot impose high tariff on imports of another country if both are members of WTO. Of course you can. Of course you can. Why like that? A country cannot impose high tariff on imports from another country. It can. Definitely it can do that. Why it can't do that? What is US doing? What are countries like EU doing? What does Australia do? How do they regulate their monopoly on rare earth material and pharmaceutical supplies? 100% you can. No. That will not violate MFN because you will do it for everyone. You will not be selective and discriminatory. For example, today I am India. I have 10 trading partners. I want to increase tariff. It's my life, it's my wish. I want to protect my farmers. I will increase tariff. Who can stop me? But if I increase on one, I will increase on all of them. I will not discriminate. I can discriminate only with those whom I have an FTA with. Is that clear? China keeps increasing so much tariff on so many semiconductor supply and so many materials. Then what is the problem in that? You can do it, but do it equally for everyone. You can do. So then, absolutely yes, Yuvraj. Deliberately, 100% I have done it deliberately. I have done it deliberately. 100% it is a deliberate attempt from my side. And it makes me very happy also. Okay. So third is totally wrong. That means D is the right answer. None of the question options here are valid. I hope it's clear to everyone. It's a very, very, as Shlok said, conceptual question. But is it clear to everyone? Yes. Very good, Ramu. Is it clear to everyone? Not equally for everyone. Correct. That is why Mr. Trump has done a wrong thing. See, if he would have said, I am putting 50% tariff on everybody, then nobody would have blamed him. People would have just said that he's being very discriminatory, he's being very capitalistic, but nobody would have said that he's breaking down WTO protocol. But he has done it in a very unequal manner. To some 50, to some 143, to some 20, to some 15. Now that is not nice. Yes, that is correct. Sometimes you have to be intellectually sadistic. What to do? If teachers only start showing love and sympathy, then how will you remember lessons for lifetime? Tell me. So is it clear? Go ahead, Shlok. Please feel free. D is the right answer. I just enjoyed this question. I hope I get a chance to make such questions every day. Go ahead with your suggestion. Is it clear to everyone? Sadhna, Satya, Shlok, Sitaram, Zahir, my dear Akhtar, Reshma, Eric, clear? Clear? Clear to everyone? Yes? No doubts? Will we remember now? No more confusion with MFN versus exception called FTA? Great. Next article is again from Geopolitics. We are looking at GS paper 2, International Relations. Okay, we can do that also. That will make it very scary then. That's perfect UPSC pattern. But then if you enjoy it, let's do it. If you enjoy it, then let's do it. From tomorrow, let's try to also include questions which are more abstract and UPSC patterned, so that then you'll find it more tough and we'll enjoy more. Done. Done. Okay. Next article, please. GS paper 2, West Asia, International Relations. What are we talking about? We are talking about how the war in West Asia still continues, by the way. It continues. Especially after military strikes are happening involving US strikes, not just on Iran, but retaliatory strikes coming from Iran into all other West Asian countries which have the military and air bases of US and Europe, especially UK. I told you already, a war that was bilateral between US plus Israel versus Iran has now become a war which includes Lebanon, Hezbollah, Liver Litani, includes Cyprus, the two UK military bases, Daghelia and Arkotiri. It includes countries like Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi, Qatar, because all these countries have military bases like very good, the biggest one, Al Udeid, absolutely. US based in Qatar, correct. But now Iran also retaliates, no? So it has become a complete West Asian war. Now for Iran also it is a very helpless situation, by the way. West Asian countries are blaming Iran. They are saying, if you have a war with US, why are you dragging all of us in that war? So yesterday, Iran's president actually apologized. He said, we have no intention at all in trying to attack the oil refineries or desalinization plants or civilian infrastructure in any country of West Asia. We don't want to do that, but we can't help it. It is a compulsion on us because US is relentless. US demands us to surrender, we can't surrender. So in order to retaliate against US and Israel, the only solution we have is to destroy their bases. That's why we are attacking countries of West Asia. We don't want any enmity with any West Asian country directly. That's what he said. But despite this, the war goes on. What is the ugliest part of this war? The ugliest side of this war was the Strait of Hormuz, which had to be closed. It was closed by Iran. Now look at the map. We all know Strait of Hormuz by heart. We know right here is UAE, the country with which India signed a SEPA agreement in 2022. Right here, it pokes into Iran and creates the Strait of Hormuz. Yes, it is the narrow choke point from where about 20 to 30% of global oil supply passes from Western Hemisphere, West Asia into the eastern countries of South Asia. Therefore, nations like India and China are heavily dependent on this Strait of Hormuz. But today it is closed. If it is closed, it is a severe problem for nations like India because India imports about 88% of its crude oil. About 50% of India's total oil import passes from the Strait of Hormuz. Same is the case with China also. Today, if this is blocked, there is a severe energy crisis and energy insecurity that we are now facing. Parallelly, we are also not getting the supply of LPG and LNG because countries like Qatar, countries like Bahrain have also shut the production of these fuels owing to repeated attacks on their infrastructure. Now, in today's situation, I want to ask you, what will India do to protect itself from this kind of oil inflation? Biggest solution is diversification. When Mr. Trump had imposed 50% tariff on us, the only solution we had was to diversify. Today, example is right here. We have free trade agreements and SEPA with so many countries in the world. Special highlights being the mother of all trade agreements with EU, the upcoming FTA with US, the TEPA with New Zealand, then SEPA with Oman, then you have UAE, of course, dialogues with Saudi and other countries like Jordan, Ethiopia, plus with Australia. So we also had to diversify. Today, same thing is happening in case of oil and energy. If we are not getting a supply from Strait of Hormuz and our energy security is shut from West Asia, we will have to diversify our oil need. So which country will India now start buying oil from? One is US. I know it's very painful, but there is the only solution. US oil is the coastal Texas oil. It's a very good quality oil, very light. It flows very smoothly. It has very low sulfur. It can be perfectly used for any industrial process and it can be refined into refined petroleum products, but it's very expensive. And it is coming from far away. It includes the transatlantic route, so very far away. It comes all the way from transatlantic into the into the Mediterranean, then the Suez Canal, then the Red, then the Bab al Mandeb, then the Gulf of Aden, and finally into Arabian Sea and then India. Very expensive shipping route. So we have to pay money for that. Yes. Expensive plus time taking. So next very good solution could be Russia again. Yes, Terukula, Russian Ural Oil Swaraj, correct. In past, we have already taken so much oil from Russia. We had stopped it because of the sanctions and tariffs of Mr. Trump. He made it conditional. If you stop taking oil from Russia, tariff will go from 50 to 18%. We had to reduce. But now there is no choice if West Asian oil is shut. And even if we buy from US and spend so much money, it will take months to reach us. But Russian oil can reach us in few weeks. Already in shadow fleet, it is floating all the way around Indian Ocean because half of it goes to China. So Russia is a good choice. Then West African countries, they are also a very good supply chain. Why not from Malacca? So for India, taking from Strait of Malacca will not be a viable option, no. Why? Because Malacca typically acts as a supply chain to China. It is between Indonesia, Malaysia. For India, it is way more southwards. It's way more towards southeast, right? So if India takes from Malacca, that means a complete hemispherical change in the supply chain. Newer clearances, higher traveling time, more port clearances. It is going to be too much paperwork. Too many countries will be involved. Too many special economic zones will be involved. I understood. Too many special, got it. Too many special permissions from exclusive economic zones will be involved. And then, of course, it's a lengthier route also in terms of kilometers. So that's why we avoid that. Then China is the biggest burden in between. China is the biggest obstacle in between. So this is the most viable shipping route. Plus, all the seas also do not have the ready kind of canals which can pass oil easily. That's why very few points are strategic. If we can have many, it is good, but it's tough to create infrastructure around that. Okay. Now, next option is Latin America. Next option is West Africa. So, what is going on? India has to diversify. There is now no choice. If you look at the share of oil from non-Hormuz routes, oil that does not come from Hormuz, as Shlok is saying, then 60% came in 2025. 70% came after the conflict. That means now, no matter how tough it is, what Shlok you are saying is an option that countries are trying to consider. It's not easy, but we are trying to consider. What alternative routes? The one you are saying is a very lengthy route. That is not a developed route yet. But if you look at other route, there is one more route here. If you can see on the map, one route clearly is that oil comes here from Persian Gulf, goes into Hormuz, finally comes into Gulf of Oman, and then goes into India. You saw the route? But now this is closed. Very good, Terukula. Alternative route is Bab el Mandeb. Oil starts from Mediterranean, goes into Red, Suez Canal. From Red, it goes here into Bab el Mandeb. From Bab el Mandeb, Gulf of Aden, which is right here, and then starts joining Arabian Sea. So now if Hormuz is closed, alternative route will be the Suez Canal area. Always remember Mediterranean, Suez, Egypt, Red, Bab el Mandeb, Gulf of Oman, and then finally into the Arabian Sea. Slightly longer. If you see, the route is slightly longer than Hormuz, but that's the only choice we have. We have to diversify right now because Hormuz is shut. And what about Russian oil supply? Now, Russia will continue to supply oil to India. That's the only solution. About 1.04 million barrels per day were imported in February. 120 million barrels of Russian oil are still floating in the ocean right now. Some tankers are already very near Indian Ocean because they keep going to China also. So now for India, it's a matter of few weeks. If India takes from Russia, it will come immediately. No more oil crisis. And therefore, the good thing is US has also given us 30-day waiver. US says for 30 days, I allow you. You can buy oil from Russia because you are also going through an emergency. So what about India's oil reserve? Right now, India is having a deficit of oil reserve. We only have it for about a month. Ideally, every country should have about 3 months. So therefore, as we are trying to improve our stockpile by taking from Russia, taking from US, using the Bab el Mandeb route, the challenge is increase in the price. You see, all the countries are profit oriented. Very good, Satya. The Vladivostok link between Chennai and Russia. Very good. Today, Russia is in a good position. After sanctions from US, Russia had to sell the oil very cheap priced because it's a shadow fleet oil, right? But now, as most countries are depending on Russia like India, China, Mexico, Brazil, Russia may increase that price from $70 per barrel to $92 per barrel. What does it mean for Russia? Extra income. But what does it mean for India? Very good, Shakti. Capital account, current account deficit. Yes, CAD. It means high import bill. More pressure on Indian rupee. Possible inflation in the economy because everything ultimately depends on oil and gas. For every $10 increase in crude oil price, inflation may shoot up by 0.25% to 0.2%. So therefore, this shows the importance of strategic choke points in the world. Now, very good question was asked by Shlok right now. If we take from the alternative route, that's Bab el Mandeb, will it not be closed by the Houthi rebel? Well, but your Houthi is a constant presence in northern Yemen. You know, it's a Iranian paid Shia militant group. But right now, if you see, the focus of the war is more into the upper countries of West Asia, including, say, Iran, including countries like Saudi, Oman, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait. Right now, for the Houthis, it has been a situation where the Saudi control on Houthi is too much. Recently, you saw the news where Southern Transition Council, the southern part of Yemen controlled by UAE, has actually surrendered in front of the Yemeni government. That means Yemeni government right now is having a stronghold. So even Houthis are not retaliating too much. Plus, they are engaged in war right now. Their main focus is to support Iran by conducting attacks on UAE, conducting attacks on, say, Iraq. conducting attacks on Kuwait and Saudi. Their focus right now is not towards Bubble Monday, right? So therefore, it is a safe route for now. Now, tomorrow, if a situation comes where Hormuz is closed and Houthis, in retaliation of Mr. Khamenei's death, actually close Bubble Monday, then what happens? Then 100% oil will come from Russia only. Then it will become a complete shadow fleet purchase. Okay, very good question, Shlok. Okay, keep that up. All right. Yes, they put out a threat, but right now it's fully operational. Tomorrow, if it gets closed, then it will be a problematic situation. Then even we can't buy from US also. Again, that's a very lengthy route. Cape of Good Hope, South Africa, very lengthy route. Not a very developed route. Yes, Yuvraj. Quickly, the question. With reference to India's crude oil import and the ongoing conflict in West Asia, consider these questions. Shlok answers. 1. India imports more than 80% of its crude oil requirement from outside, abroad. Second, Houthi movement has targeted commercial vessels in the Red Sea, affecting global shipping routes. And 3, a disruption in tanker movement through Strait of Hormuz can significantly affect India's oil supply and global energy market. Which of these are correct? Oh my God. Everyone says D is correct. Really is D correct? Are you sure? No exceptions. There are exceptions. There is a split. A, D, B, C. Oh goodness. Look at this question. Look at the answers. A, B, C, D. What kind of a split is that? Lokpal gives up. Lokpal says, let's appoint a separate committee. Lokpal gives up. They are saying A, B, C, D. Lots of confusion. Some are saying all are correct. Okay, interesting, Ramu. Great observation. Which of these are valid? Think again, quickly. Yes, China is trying to revive the Silk Route, absolutely. And the modern Silk Route is known as BRI. It has two channels. One is the maritime channel, one is the land route. Very good question, Shlok. Sorry, Yuvraj. Who started answering? Shlok, Vikash, no, Shlok, Terkula, Vikash, Krishna, Kavish, Rishi, Ashish, Madhav, Sitaram, Saurav, Najut, Chip, Shinobi, AB. Everyone's answering. Okay, all right, Ramu. Ramu says, ma'am, ABCD, nobody said. Same person said ABC. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, all right. Break it down. First one, India imports more than 80% of crude from outside. Totally correct. We are importing about 81%. If that is correct, then C will be eliminated immediately. Let's look at the second one. Houthi movement has targeted commercial vessels in the Red Sea, affecting global shipping routes. So, when did this happen actually? Yes, please throw light. When did this happen? Yes, I am also here. You are also here. Every day we are discussing news. I don't know where was I when all this happened. Yes, when did this happen? Deepak, Taithong, Satya, Shlok. When did this happen, bacha? Where was I? I went into coma or what? When did this happen? Houthi movement in northern Yemen, supported by Iran. I know. It keeps threatening every now and then that we will close the strait, the Bab el Mandeb Strait. They keep saying, right? Last time in July 2025, when they had done it, they were actually trying to destroy the undersea cables that time. Because they had attacked the undersea cables, majority of internet connection got disturbed totally, not just in this area, but also up till west of India. They did it, right? They did it. But they were just cutting down the undersea cables and they were also trying to target commercial vessels. But as such, it did not create any kind of global shipping route. It did not impact any kind of oil and energy supply. No. In 2025, when Houthis were rebelling in this area, all they have done is they have cut down the undersea internet supply cables that are there in the Red Sea area. That is what they have done. I agree. They were also doing piracy. They were attacking some commercial vessels. I know. Correct. It was a big threat that time. Ships were also attacked. But shipping route getting blocked, Bab el Mandeb getting choked, ships getting stuck over there, I don't think so. First part is correct. They have 100% targeted. Today also they are threatening we will target. But have we ever heard in the news that Babal Mandeb got closed, oil is not coming, supply chain is getting shut. No, it's a big news. I remember that Suez Canal was choked. That I remember. That Suez Canal got choked. It's a very narrow area, no? Suez Canal. So one ship got horizontally stuck there. That is what led to delay. I agree. 100%. Today, Hormuz is closed. I agree. 100%. Correct. Panama was in controversy last year. Agreed. But Red Sea was only because of the cables, internet cables, and some militancy going there. Choking, closing, supply route, nothing of that sort happened. So, second is too generalized to be true. Then, in that case, B will be the valid answer. So, whom should I clap for? Only for myself. So, B is the right answer here. Rest, none of the answers were correct. I hope it's clear to everyone, though. Come on, I hope it's clear. Can we proceed with the last article and quickly the quiz for today? Is it clear with everyone? Yes, Krishna, Taithong, Kundan, Shlok, Ramu. That was back in 23-24. Ship traffic gets cancelled and people are not able to float through this area. No kind of, commercial vessels are floating in here. All that happened, but we never had any kind of shutting down of Babal Mandeb. But that's a very valid observation by initially Ramu and now Ramu and initially Shlok that that's true that in case now see a situation happens where Houthis also act like Hezbollah. Now, if they say that we want to also take revenge on the behalf of Iran, and we will take this revenge by closing the Bab al Mandeb, or if we also attack US tankers and all those things, then it becomes a dangerous situation. So then that needs to be watched out for. Then it can attract attack, yes, but that is something we are presuming it might happen. Okay. So I hope it's clear, everyone. Yes? Okay, wonderful. It's not exclusively an option, but we can presume it. That's the only narrow choke point in that region. It's a very general question, I know, very general statement, but that's the only strategic choke point we can see in that area. Apart from Suez Canal and Bab al Mandeb, you don't see any other choke point in that particular region. Yeah? Okay. Not exactly. Not exactly. Not exactly Urupa. It's like yes and no both situation. Okay. Let's quickly proceed with last article, Bacha. Let's focus quickly. Once again, the same topic, GS paper 2. Polity and no, GS paper 2, international relations. Where are we going? Again, we are going to West Asia. Are you not tired of going to West Asia, that too without a visa? Okay. Quickly, jokes apart, let's finish this article. Focus on the map. Let's see what's going on. During the ongoing war between Israel and Iran, Israeli airstrikes have hit. Now, this is unfortunate. See, war happens, we know that. War happens. Wars are a reality. It becomes problematic when during the war, Geneva Convention, international humanitarian law gets challenged. Like in this war, Israel has conducted a strike on southern Iran on a primary girls' school. That's problematic. That's about attacking the civilian, collateral damage. Now, same thing is being reported here also because Israeli airstrike has also attacked fuel depots and oil facilities in Iran. And you know what is worse? Now you will be shocked to know. I don't want to tell about it because I'm making a current affairs video on that today. Okay. So today I'm making a dedicated current affairs video on that. I'll give you just a small hint. Most of these strikes that are happening are actually hitting, you know what? Desalinization plants. This is very painful. Desalinization water plants. Now, majority of countries in West Asia, Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi, Israel, Iran, all of them depend on converting seawater into fresh water. There is a water scarcity. It's a desert area, right? Now, they drink water from there. Yesterday, there is a special region near Strait of Hormuz. I will make a video on that today. In that, desalinization plant has been attacked. 30 to 50 villages are drinking water from there. Now imagine where will people get water from? This is the ugly side of war. This is the breakdown of Geneva Convention, which we spoke about Friday. This is the breakdown of international humanitarian law. Yes, that's a sad thing. So what's going on? Civilian infrastructure like desalination plants, oil depot, fuel depot, school, hospitals, all these facilities have been attacked in Tehran. Now, these strikes are causing large fires. There is a thick smoke enveloping Tehran. There is a temporary disruption in fuel distribution, quite like what's happening in Cuba. People have no oil. They cannot use any oil for transportation, food supply, medication, or running thermal power plants. What's the political controversy in Iran? We know that Mr. Khamenei died and Iran is a theocracy. Therefore, he must be replaced by another supreme leader. Now, possibly we are expecting his son, Mujtaba Khamenei, to become the new leader. But Iran is very, very concerned right now because Israel and US are saying, just like we killed Mr. Khamenei, we will also kill another supreme leader whom you appoint to power. And therefore, Iran is too afraid to announce the name openly. So they have already taken a decision. They know who is going to be the next supreme leader elected by Iran's clerical body called Assembly of Experts. They have selected the leader. We all know about him. But openly, they are not ready to declare the name because they are also concerned. Now, another concern, Bacha, is that the conflict is enveloping entire West Asia. Several countries are a part of the war, that too in the civilian infrastructure. Saudi Arabia, one missile hit the residential area. Kuwait, fuel tanks are being attacked. Bahrain, desalination plant destroyed. Iran, Strait of Hormuz, desalination plant destroyed. UAE, missiles are attacking regions like Dubai, the Burj area, Al Jumeirah area. All these are residential touristic areas. Yes, so many missiles are being intercepted, but still the attacks are ongoing. And Iran is warning that if US continues to behave in such an aggressive manner, then Iran will also retaliate by hitting at neighbors' territory. Why neighbors' territory? Not because of enmity, because neighbors' territory also have the bases, military and air bases of US, UK, Europe. What's the role of US here? United States supports Israel blindly. Operation Roaring Lion, Operation Epic Fury. US President Mr. Trump says Iran's supreme leader, even if he comes, a new one, will also not survive. Now, this is out and out a breakdown of Article 2.4 of United Nations Charter. Who spoke about it recently? Some student was talking about it. Shakti was talking about it. Yes. Openly, he is threatening. I will kill the new leader as well. Geopolitical risk is high. What is Iran's response? Iran refuses to surrender. Why will Iran surrender? In past, Iran had signed JCPOA, but in 2018, Iran was ignored. US exited the JCPOA. Today, Iran is expected to cancel ballistic missile, to cancel uranium enrichment. If Iran cancels all of that, how will Iran defend itself? Iran says, I will continue to use cheap weapons, ballistic missile and drone, and conduct saturation strategy. I will continue to maintain access of resistance by financing Hezbollah, Houthi, militia, and Hamas. This indicates that war will keep on escalating. And why is the war dangerous? Because global oil supply and shipping routes are involved. It will create an inflation across the whole world, probably an unprecedented one. Yes? Yeah, he's the new leader, Iran, Rishi, but they have not announced the name out of fear of US retaliation. Now, here is the map of Iran. Now that you're seeing the map, also a quick notice on Strait of Hormuz, a quick focus on Bab al Mandeb Strait, the alternative route that we were talking about. Yes, Mediterranean, Red, Bab al Mandeb, Gulf of Eden, and finally Arabian Sea, Indian Ocean. We can have a look at Egypt and Sudan here. We know about Somaliland. We know about Eritrea, Ethiopia, Tigray region conflict. Tigray region conflict. Yes, we know about the Asir mountain range here. We know about the territory of Yemen and Oman here. We can see Al Udeid base Qatar here. We know Kuwait, the latest country to join China's BRI, the Badmi area Shlok, good. We all can see Turkey here. Yesterday we spoke about Kurdish territory, how Kurdish is a big fear for Turkey people, and therefore the leader of Kurds, Abdullah Öcalan, has been arrested since 1999. Kurdish people are right now also trying to fight the Iranian rebels, militia, where in Iraq. US supports Kurdish people. It has always supported. You can see Iran here. You can see Persian Gulf. You can see Turkmenistan here. Yes, so a broad idea. Armaco oil refinery. You all understand about Chabahar port. Iran, very important. Bandar Abbas port. Is that clear to everyone? Sinai Peninsula, very good, very, very good. All right. So now the last article and the quick quiz that is now coming up. And this article is a very short article. This comes from GS paper 3, Biodiversity and Environmental Conservation. What is the article saying? Article is complaining that social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube and X, all of them are increasingly using deepfake and AI technology to create fake, synthetic videos of animals interacting with humans and other animals in a friendly way. You can see a snake that is sleeping on the shoulder of a man, not doing anything. Lion is coming and giving you a cuddle. Pandas, otters, all these animals are being petted like never before. They are all listening to human beings and they are all living as if they are one species. No animal human conflict is to be seen in all these fake synthesized videos here. These videos are used by using generative AI. They are deep fake. They can produce realistic looking fake content, or they can also create complex videos from existing simple ones. What's the problem here? The problem is that viewers are mistaken. They believe that these are true. And then they start presuming that wildlife is very friendly. Once they see a YouTuber or a TikToker dancing with a lion, they will believe lion is very friendly. Sharks are the best friend. Pandas, polar bears, all of them can be lived with very peacefully. Snakes can be used as pets. Iguanas will not attack us. All these are beliefs among people because they believe in all these fake content and they think that this is true. Now, recently, under IT Rules 2000, Intermediary and Digital Ethics Guidelines, Indian government has also made it compulsory that any video which has used any kind of deep fake or synthetic content must declare that, whether it's a text, audio, video, or any other reel. Because people should know what is fake and what's real. Why are these videos increasing? Because easy AI tools are available. Even young students are using generative AI tools and creating hyper realistic videos of animals. Social media algorithm. According to social media viewership, platforms are giving too much viewership, likes, and money to viral short videos so that content makers find this as a great source of income. You don't need qualification, eligibility, training. You can still use generative AI and make clickbait videos and enjoy that. Very good. IT Act 79, Safe Harbor Rule, absolutely, that comes in the picture here. The problem is, all these videos are unrealistic, but they are highly rewarding. People get money for them. If they are getting money for them, then why will they not conduct this behavior? They will keep misleading and earn money from them. Now, why is it dangerous? People start believing that wildlife is friendly. People start believing that wildlife is harmless. But let's not forget, last year, the Honorable Supreme Court of India has said that any episode of human animal conflict should be considered as a natural disaster. Look at states like Kerala. Look at various national parks. There is so common evidence of human wildlife conflict, whether it's elephant or whether it's lion or whether it's any other wildlife animal, including the avian species, including the wild birds. They are dangerous. Plus, there is always the risk of zoonosis, diseases that spread due to unsolicited interaction between humans and animals. Now, videos are showing children playing with monkeys, feeding wild animals. It is very risky in countries like India, where there is a very high burden of disease like rabies, another form of zoonosis. Recently, Saudi Arabia prohibited any import of eggs or poultry from countries like India, China, Pakistan. Why? Because zoonosis, bird flu, swine flu are common occurrences in the world right now. And it's also very harmful for wildlife conservation, by the way. Majority of the animals on whom these memes are getting created come under Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act 1972. They deserve utmost protection. Rare species are now shown commonly on these platforms. Is it not impacting India's national effort to prevent illegal trade of wildlife? Now, this phenomena is known as anthropomorphism. Okay, that's a very good word used by this article, that this phenomena is referred to as, here I've written it, anthropomorphism. Anthropomorphism. Do not confuse it with the word anthropogenic. Anthropogenic is something created by humans. We are talking about anthropomorphism. What is that? It means AI videos are showing animals behaving like humans. Like Yuvraj was saying, elephant is walking on two legs. Lion is jumping on one leg. Is it possible? Come on, is it possible? It's not possible. It's nonsense. But deep fake and generative AI makes us believe it's true. So this is anthropomorphism, where animals are showing behaving like humans. They have emotions. They are crying. They are laughing. I have seen videos of dogs laughing. Now, will I believe, is that true? Absolutely not. This is anthropomorphism. It makes people underestimate the danger of wildlife. It's very dangerous. It impacts conservation efforts too. Public misunderstands the nature of wildlife. Wildlife can be retaliatory if approached without a proper expert. There is a confusion in identifying native species. It undermines the whole idea of Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act, and as Vikash says, IUCN, CITES, all these protocols are meant to prohibit any interaction, unsolicited interaction with wildlife. Now, camera trap image analysis, identifying species quickly. All these are tools we should use to protect wildlife. Camera coverage, camera trap image analysis. Then, bioacoustic monitoring of animals. Make sure nobody comes near them, nobody is trying to poach on them. You should use it for benefiting and protecting wildlife, not exactly to harm them, not to create a situation where people have no idea about the real nature of wildlife. If you don't understand the real nature, how will you protect them and how will you save yourself? Okay, so this is the theme that this article has created. Quite interesting, but it's valid. Relates to GS paper 4 ethics also, by the way. Okay, so I'm done with the Hindu. Now a quick reminder about the quiz first. Yes, quiz. What about the quiz? So with your kind permission, will you give me 10 minutes for the quiz quickly? Yes. Asua, Kundan, Vikash, Krishna, Reshma, Ramu, Eric, Terukula, Sitaram, may I start the quiz? Bulbul, Zahir, Saurav, Suraj, yes please. Okay, great Terukula. Then the first question, now listen carefully. This is interesting. There is an island. There is an island. The name of that island is QESHM. Quesham Island. The name of this island is Quesham Island. It is in the news too much in the last 2 days. Quickly tell me, in which country is this island located? Quesham Island. In which country will you find Quesham Island? Let me give you a hint. It is an arrow-shaped thin island. Which country is it located in? It was in the news. Today I will make a video on that. Today I will make a video on that. Quesham Island. Yes. What's the answer? Very good. Quesham Island is a very thin, arrow-shaped island which is located in a country called Iran. Why? Because Iran is under attack of US and Israel right now, and specifically this is located on the Strait of Hormuz. It is located in the Strait of Hormuz of the Persian Gulf area. Very, very good. One more thing I want you to know. One more thing. If Quesham is in Iran, in Strait of Hormuz, in the Persian Gulf, please remember, Quesham is the largest island in Persian Gulf. Quesham is the largest island in Persian Gulf. Nobody should forget. I will ask next week. Quesham Island. Map. I just showed the map of Iran. I want to go back to it. Okay. See, right here. You will find it somewhere near here. Right here where I'm making the big circle. This is Quesham Island. Okay. Largest island in Persian Gulf. All right. Second question. Acha, why was it in the news, by the way? That I forgot to tell. Largest in Persian Gulf. Why is it in the news? Because it was right here on the Quesham Island that there is a very big desalinization plant. I repeat, a big desalinization plant, water desalinization. This has been attacked by US, making 50 villages go without water. Yes. Okay. Second question of the quiz, quickly. Easy one. Which is the largest national park in India and where is it located? Very easy. Largest national park in India and where is it situated? Quickly. Largest national park in India and where is it located? Yes, please. Easy question. Very good. The largest is Hemis. No, the largest is called Hemis National Park. You know why is it the largest? Because it has an area of 4,400 square kilometer. And where is it located? Very good, Sadhna Reshma. It is located in Ladakh. It is located in Ladakh. Why was Ladakh in the news? It was in the news because of Schedule 6 controversy. Yes. It was in the news because of National Security Act. It was in the news because of, no problem, because of the nearby Galwan Valley clash. It was in the news because of dispute with China. It was in the news because of Sakshgam Valley that China is claiming given by Pakistan, and it is near the Siachen Glacier. The statehood controversy, Schedule 6 of the Constitution, 1980 NSA. Very good, Mr. Sonam Wangchuk. Preventive detention, Article 21, Article 20 and Article 22 of the Indian Constitution. Largest tiger reserve, very good question. AB has a very good question for entire class. He says, which is the largest tiger reserve then? Is it Nagarjuna? Please confirm. Please confirm. Very good question. National Park is Hemis. Okay. Now, third question for the day. Let's focus quickly. Quickly focus. In India, which is our national aquatic animal? I repeat. In India, which is the national aquatic animal? Easy one. National aquatic animal. Yes. In India, which animal do we call national aquatic animal? And what is the status of this animal in IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature? Is it threatened? Is it vulnerable? Is it endangered? Or is it a totally non-endangered species? Very well answered. Indeed, it is the Gangetic River dolphin. Brilliant. Gangetic River dolphin, which is the national aquatic animal of India. Correct. Totally correct. Now, if you look at IUCN, its status is called endangered. The status is called endangered. Please check again. Is it endangered or vulnerable? I want clarity on that. Yes, Veda, Yuvraj, Shlok, Vikash. Endangered or vulnerable? Let's clarify this right here. When I spoke about snow leopard, same confusion happened. Later we realized it was vulnerable. Today I am asking, India's national aquatic animal, Ganga River dolphin, Gangetic dolphin, is it endangered or is it vulnerable? It is endangered. Very good. It is endangered. Perfect. Now the last answer for the day, last question for the day. Listen very carefully. This is enjoyable question. You will love this question. Listen carefully and I will also like it because I am hoping that nobody will know. Listen carefully. Last question, bache. Listen. Which is the deepest river in the world? Which is the deepest river in the world? I will give you a small hint here. This deepest, not longest, deepest river in the world, this deepest river in the world is also the second longest river in Africa. Very good. It is the Congo River. Now, the longest river is Nile. The river with the highest volume of water is Amazon. Yes. So, which is the deepest river? Very good. The deepest river is Congo River. After River Nile, Congo is also the second longest river basin in Africa. Yes. Now there's one more thing. No, not in Africa. Not in Africa. Listen carefully. Nile is longest. Amazon has largest amount of water flow in it. Deepest river, Congo. Second longest river in Africa after Nile, correct. Now also, second largest river basin in the whole world after Amazon, and very valid point raised by Shlok. The most exciting thing is that this is the only big river in the world that crosses equator 2 times. Yes, it cuts through equator 2 times. It cuts through equator 2 times. Very interesting. It's okay. Now we can learn. Congo, second longest river in Africa after Nile. Yes, after Nile. Second largest river basin in the world. Second largest river basin in the world globally after Amazon. Most interesting, Congo is the deepest river in the whole world. It cuts equator twice. Equator twice. Okay, so that's it from my side today. Thank you so much for being the lovely, participative, interactive class as you always are. Very, very good. River Mahi cuts the Tropic of Cancer 2 times, Reshma. Then one more question. Which is the river which cuts? Which is the river which cuts Tropic of Capricorn? That also we must have a look at. Thank you so much. God bless each one of you. God bless each one of you. Krishna has another great question. We can come back and take all these tomorrow. And now allow me to take your leave. A quick reminder, we are running excellent sale opportunities for 26 and 27 UPSC courses. Prices are very humble. If you use codes live, then further discount. Batches have started from 7th March. You can join now also. Keep following the Telegram for more such updates. Thank you so much. We'll take all these topics, remaining ones tomorrow. God bless you. Limpopo River, very good. Very, very good. Excellent. So thank you so much. Love you. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow at 9.